will say this, there are some things that, and I'm talking physical evidence that was at that house that is, there could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff. You can see the person and you can see what they're wearing, something pretty distinctive, and there's photos that I have from 12 hours earlier, a person at the house wearing the same thing.
This whole David situation just keeps twisting in ways nobody expected. At this point, it wouldn't shock anyone if Celeste's family decided to take legal action. Not just against him, but maybe even against his label too. Now, it's not confirmed yet, let's be clear about that. But the way everything's been unfolding, the silence, the shaky footage, the wild inconsistencies, it's all starting to feel like something serious is brewing. And if it does turn legal, it's not gonna be pretty. David's label, darkroom under inner scope, has been ghost quiet. No statements, no clarity, just radio silence. The only person who said anything at all is his manager, Josh Marshall, and he flat out denied any connection to what happened to Celeste Rivas Hernandez. But besides that one quick statement, it's been crickets. And honestly, when things reach this level of heat and a label stays that quiet, it usually means there's trouble bubbling underneath. Now here's where things take a darker turn, because while people keep throwing around the word lawsuit, that might not even be the real story. Wait till you hear what's coming out behind the scenes about Celeste's final hours. It could flip this entire case upside down. Ever since Celeste's death, something about this story just hasn't sat right. The timeline's shaky, the details don't line up, and the reactions, especially from David's side, feel strange. After canceling his tour, he completely vanished. No public appearances, no statements, nothing. And even though law enforcement hasn't called him a suspect, that doesn't erase the fact that he was involved with someone who wasn't of legal age. That's serious. You can almost feel how cautious Celeste's family has been. They haven't spoken publicly, but their silence feels strategic, like they're collecting receipts before they make a move. And honestly, if this was all just some misunderstanding, wouldn't someone have cleared it up by now? The longer this drags on, the worse it looks. David himself hasn't said a single word. No interviews, no statement, not even a simple RIP post. And considering that multiple sources say Celeste was his girlfriend, that silence screams louder than any denial. Sure, he couldn't attend her funeral, but come on, he could have at least posted something, anything. The lack of emotion feels cold, almost calculated. Then everything flipped overnight. Out of nowhere, a private investigator jumped into the mix, and what he revealed next turned this entire story upside down. A few days ago, Steve Fisher went public with what he uncovered. He didn't sound like some clout chaser. He sounded drained, like what he found still haunts him. Fisher revealed that after months of digging, there's still no confirmed footage showing Celeste at the property everyone keeps mentioning. Instead, what he found were photos. Pictures believed to have been taken by David himself, but not on a phone. These shots came from a regular camera and were snapped at totally different spots across the city. During that part of the interview, Fisher began connecting the dots, saying the photos hinted that Celeste might have been staying somewhere else, possibly near downtown LA, and the last photo of her? It was dated January 2nd, 2025. That one small detail flipped the timeline completely because it didn't match the version of events the public had been fed before.
Recovered, we don't have any of her at that property. We have pictures of her and that were taken by David, we assume, because it's not on a camera phone, but these photos are on a regular camera at different locations, and it really makes me think that it's likely she had another place she was staying. I can tell you that there was a lot of time spent towards downtown LA, and I'll say the last photo that we have of Celeste is January 2nd, 2020.
Then Reddit took it to another level. A thread appeared titled, "Proof David rented his first place in Hollywood while still renting a second, Celeste's secret hideout." It claimed that David had been leasing 2 properties at the same time. One in Hollywood and another close to where Celeste's body was later discovered. That's when people online started questioning why the second place was never searched. Could that have been where she stayed whenever he went on tour? Then someone dropped a wild observation that grabbed everyone's attention. Look at that date, they said. He got rid of the second place in March. People started piecing it together, speculating that something must have gone down between January and February. And then boom, by March, the property was suddenly back up for rent. The timing was just too suspicious, right after the last known photo of Celeste surfaced. Another comment caught everyone's attention too. It said, "It all just keeps looping back around." Even in one of his songs, he says, "Don't run away, I've got a place you can stay." It was probably this property. Now, obviously, none of that's been proven yet, but when you line it all up, the photos dated in January, the property suddenly back on the market in March, and those lyrics that hit way too close to home, it's not hard to see why people started connecting the dots. Still, with all that speculation flooding the internet, we've got to stick to what's actually been confirmed. Authorities haven't ruled Celeste's death as a homicide, the medical examiner hasn't pinned down a clear cause, and officially, David still isn't considered a suspect. But the inconsistencies Fisher exposed are enough to make anyone pause and question what really went down that night. And it doesn't stop there. When Steve Fisher began describing what he'd uncovered, you could almost feel the air shift. He didn't spill every detail, but he mentioned signs of what he called a twisted plan, something that might have involved tools or steps to make her disappear. Thankfully, whatever that plan was, it never happened. The fact that someone even thought about doing something like that is beyond disturbing. Now, this next part doesn't come from Fisher. It's from a viewer's theory that's been spreading like wildfire online. And while there's no proof it's true, it definitely echoes what a lot of people have been thinking. One viewer wrote, "I've been saying since the day after they found the body, before I even knew who this kid was, that the body was in the Tesla when he left for tour and that the tour was used as his alibi, his cover story." They went on, "It could have been anyone who moved her, maybe even while he was gone. He wasn't in the state." These kinds of comments blew up, with people saying it actually makes sense. Like maybe that's why he left the car behind before hitting the road. That same post even called it the most blatant, clear-cut case they'd ever seen, saying the evidence shows sociopathic levels of stupidity and narcissism. They pointed out how David showed off his relationship online and in his music, but then tried to hide her face with hoodies and purses like that would fool anyone. Fans said it almost felt like he thought he could outsmart both the internet and law enforcement just by playing it low-key. Even though none of that theory's been confirmed, the fact that so many people find it believable says a lot about how twisted this situation has become. At this point, it's not even about what's on camera anymore. It's about what's missing. The gaps in the timeline, the things nobody's explaining, the silence that just keeps growing louder. And if this ever ends up in court, and honestly it's starting to sound like it might, those missing details could be what cracks the whole thing open. To make it even murkier, Celeste's age has added another layer of confusion. Some of David's own friends reportedly told investigators they had no idea she was underage. They thought she was a 19-year-old college student. Celeste was known to show up at USC events and was even spotted inside age-restricted clubs and parties. Later, law enforcement confirmed she had multiple fake IDs, which explains how she got into places she technically shouldn't have been, but that's exactly what makes this story so tragic. It blurs the line between what was manipulation and what was intentional, leaving everyone questioning who really had control. Around that same time, reports surfaced saying David quietly transferred 2 of his Houston area properties into a trust under his mother's name. One of those houses, the same address that got swatted last September. The fake 911 call that sent cops rushing to his family's home in the middle of the night. On paper, that might look like normal estate planning, but to a lot of people, it screamed damage control. Like someone trying to shield assets before things exploded. And that's what really sticks with people, the silence. The way everyone's just acting like nothing's happening. Because in this industry, quiet doesn't mean peace. It usually means protection. Someone, somewhere, is covering for somebody. If Celeste's family decides to take legal action, the label could get dragged into the mess too. Because if they ignored warning signs or stayed quiet about what they knew, that's not just bad PR. That's straight up negligence. And no fancy press release or spin can make that disappear. At this point, it doesn't even seem like people are angry anymore. They're just exhausted. Every new detail feels like reopening the same wound again and again. And as for David, what can you even say? No matter how talented he is, once your name gets tied to something this dark, the music just doesn't sound the same anymore. Those songs that once hit deep now just feel strange, almost haunting. You can't even listen without your mind flashing back to everything that's gone down. Maybe it's just me, but when people talk about his music now, it doesn't sound like admiration anymore. It sounds tense, uncomfortable, like nobody knows how they're supposed to feel about it. Sure, he can drop new tracks, plan new tours, post new apologies, but once your name becomes tied to something tragic like this, it sticks. That kind of shadow doesn't fade just because the beat's catchy. And right now, no one really knows where this story's heading next. But if history's taught us anything, it's that secrets never stay buried forever. Eventually, the truth surfaces, or someone makes sure it never does, and both of those possibilities are terrifying in their own way. Either way, what's done can't be undone, because if this lawsuit actually happens, it won't just shake up his career, it'll rip open the whole system that let all of this stay silent for so long. And once that happens, there's no coming back from it. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for David's career, or just the calm before the storm? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.